Great Tuesday morning. How are you doing? This is your girl Shan. Happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday. Let's get into this day and go ahead and, have a positive mindset. Now I'm going to get into this topic for the sake of time, right? Yes, the topic of today is unrealistic expectations. One of the biggest stressors in marriage. Unrealistic expectations. I'm going to start off asking this, and of course, I'm going to always talk to my singles because I do that as well, especially those who desire to be married one day. One of the biggest things that me and my husband always speak about, good morning, Dalisha, is having that communication with if you're single, with the person that you're desiring to marry before you even say I do. Hey, Natasha, that is key. What do you expect when you get married? If you're dating, like our show last night, I forgot to thank y'all for listening in and supporting our radio show last night, Marriage Mondays with the Kings, where we were talking about long-term dating. What's the end game? Now, we do have a lot of people who reach out to us, and your girl Shan just gonna keep it all the way real and say, well, I'm in this relationship. I've been in it for a long time, What is your expectations? Let me tell you what happens. And this is why this is a big problem when it comes to marriage. Because that which we have in our mind does not connect with our mouth. And when it does connect with our mouth, it comes out our mouth the wrong way at our spouse. When the conversation that you done had with yourself in your mind was never a calm conversation with your spouse. I hope that makes sense. And so what tends to happen is the unrealistic expectation that we've placed on our husband or our wife then gets us to a place of anger where we're acting a whole fool with our spouse. And they didn't even know. So going back to my singles, right? Let me holler at you. Okay, you have people, good morning, Aisha, who are very structured, who are goal-oriented, who like to make things happen and stuff like that. On the flip side, you got people who are comfortable with life. They're comfortable where they at. You know what I'm saying? They don't want too much more than this, and that's just how they are. So I'm going to ask this question. If you are married, when you first got with your spouse, whether you all were dating and or after you got married, did you communicate your expectations to your spouse of what it is that you desire? If you've been dating for a while, you and your friend, whatever, male, female, whatever, you've been dating for a while. At what point did you start communicating your expectations? Let me tell you what we do as a people. We communicate our expectations to everybody else except for the person in whom we're in the relationship with. If you think I'm lying, women, I know we guilty of this. Oh yeah, girl, you single. Oh yeah, I'm hoping that this will be the year. This will be the year he asked me to be his wife, or whatever the case may be. Or it may be a guy that's talking to his friends. Yeah, I'm hoping this is the year that she makes me a daddy. We've been married for about 5 years, so I hope this is the year. Good morning, Paula Jean. You're having all these conversations with everybody else with the exception of the individual in whom you're in the relationship with or whom you're in the marriage with. What is your expectations? Hey, Cousin Kim. And do you communicate them effectively? Let me tell you, hey, Miss D, when we tend to communicate expectations, when that unrealistic expectation in our mind does not play out the way that we thought that it was, and then it comes out in an argument with our spouse where we get mad. Every little thing they do is getting on our nerves. Why? Have you ever, I've had some expectations that I've spoken to, about myself, even before I said I do. These are some of the things that I expect. However, on the flip side of it, if we can keep it real, you got people out there that some of your expectations is just so doggone unrealistic that you can't even meet your own expectations. But you want the person in whom you're in a relationship to. Now, if you're in a marriage, and you discussed it, and this marriage ain't going the way that you think it's supposed to go. Hey, Cammie, and all these things, and it's not what you thought in your fairy tale imagination. Hey, Kashmia, that a marriage should be like, right? You in a marriage at this point. What expectations did you communicate? What is it that you're expecting from that person? Some may say, you know what? I'm talking to this joker. I'll let this joker know. Okay, let me ask you something else, married individuals. Let's go to good old Habakkuk 2:2, right? Habakkuk 2:2. Have you ever wrote the vision for your marriage? This is something that was taught to us when we were stationed in Fort Campbell at the church that we went to. Have you ever wrote the vision? Even as an individual, this is something that you can practice if you are single. Have you wrote your vision at the end of the year, or even, hey, right now, the middle of this year, 2019, let me start jotting down some things that I want to have accomplished by 2020. Do you write that vision down? Now, there are a lot of married people who say, my marriage is stagnant right now. We broke, we living paycheck to paycheck. It's not working. God don't seem like he have favor on our marriage. Are you serious? You got to do more than just speak words. And see, that's where a lot of our singles get caught up. Because, baby, you fall, if I can be real, some of y'all have failed relationship after relationship, the same process. You fall for people who speak a good thing, but you haven't taken the time to see if their actions line up with what they say. Because it sounds so good to your ears that it make you feel good inside that you just fall for the same game over and over again. That's why you end up dating the same men or the same type of women in just a different person. Because you fall for the words. But what about the actions? Does it line up? You know what I'm saying? A person can fake something for only so long. When you write that thing out, you'll really get to see who they are. Now, let me go on to the married. Let me switch back over to you on this side. So for you who are married and you so frustrated in your marriage, are you, one, guilty of having unrealistic expectations? Number one. Number two, are you guilty of not effectively and maturely communicating your expectations to your husband or your wife? Do you blow up and get an attitude that get on my nerve, we ain't going to work, and you find yourself in this second when you find yourself complaining all the time because they not doing what you done had, this conversation that you done had in your mind that you expected them to do? Now, see, this is the thing that I know about marriage. Got a little time in, so maybe I know a little something. But this is what I know. And I've seen this so much in the military, and I'm not jumping on my military folks, but I've seen this so much. That was my life. You know what I'm saying? Most of my adult life, the military is all I've known. But I've seen this, and this happened more than outside of the military. But check out this illustration. I'm going to come from a perspective of a wife. You expect your husband to do all these things. You expect to tell him all the things that it is that he's supposed to do. Oh, no, you need to study for the board. You need to make sure. It's a difference between your expectations and encouragement. And only a mature wife will know the difference. When you setting up her barking out orders to your husband or your wife, this is what you need to do. You need to do. You need to do. But you're not helping picking up no bricks to help build for your future. Then, baby, you are running off of expectations and not encouragement. Let me tell you what a good wife or a good husband do. They encourage. You know what I'm saying? Not only are they encouraging their spouse to pick up bricks to help continue to build towards the future in their marriage, also they are picking up bricks and they grinding to do the same thing. A lot of people do not do that. So complaining, right? You're arguing all the time and everything like that. Let me get back to Habakkuk 2:2. Write the vision and make it plain. Write it down. How many of you in your marriage, you sit down, let's say at the end of this year, I talk about this every year, but people don't do it. And if you talking about, for example, coming out of debt, right? Okay, this is how much debt we got. Boom, 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 boom. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, we know we can't pay it all off in the next year, depending on how big the debt is. Let's be honest and keep it real. That's why some of y'all ain't happy in y'all's lives, because you ain't willing to face issues head on at the root and keep it real. So you sit up here and you say, you know what? I think realistically we can live and knock down about $12,000 of our debt in the next year. And so you look at the big picture, and this is something we used to do in the military, 30, 60, 90, 120 days. Well, for y'all who are not familiar with the military, you can knock it down by quarter. By the first, March, we want it to be this much knocked down. By June, and guess what? Husbands and wife, you are no longer working as two. You become working as one to attain the goal. So that way you all are working together. A lot of marriages are failing right now because husbands and wives are not working together because you have no vision written down. You have unrealistic expectations and you're not meeting any goals. And that's why the marriage becomes stagnant. So it's just some things to think about. Where are you at in it? Okay. Another question that I have. Do you just love and meet your husband and your wife where they are? Do you love them for just who they are? Or are you guilty always trying to change them? Like I said, there's a difference between encouragement and there's a difference between unrealistic expectations. Once I stopped trying to change my husband into who I thought that he was supposed to be, and I started praying for him, that God allows him to be the man of God that God created for him to be, things shifted in our marriage. And that's a lot of problems. Quit trying to change the person that you with. Only God can change them, and only they will be changed when they want to be changed. That's just like a family member that's a junkie or an alcoholic. Baby, you can want for them all you want, but unless they're willing to change, they're not going to change. And the more you try to push, the more they're going to resist. Think about a mule, for any of y'all that's from the country. The more you try to push that mule to go forward, the more that joker's going to fall back. You see what I'm saying? And they're going to resist against what you're saying. So if you've been doing this in your marriage and things ain't been working, it's time to try something new. When I was thinking about Jesus in the Bible, in the New Testament, I was thinking about where he met people where, he met them where they were. He didn't try to change them. He was an example before them according to the scriptures, but he met them where they are. And that's the thing to get me about people today. That's why you have a lot of people. Why am I going here? I don't know. Here I go. That's why you got a lot of people who don't even want to go up in the church house, because you got people that's too busy trying to change somebody instead of being the example before them. You see what I'm saying? Instead of encouraging them and uplifting them. That's what will draw the people, not trying to change and beat them down. That's the same principle when it comes to our marriage. Singles, that's the same principle when you are in a relationship with somebody. I understand women, we got big hearts. And some of us, we want to see the best in everybody. And you lie to yourself even and say, well, when he get with me and we get married, things will change. But baby, things get worse, okay? Talk to some married ladies that's been married on today. Don't fool yourself. A person will change when they are ready to change, but you can't allow your unrealistic fairy tale in your mind to make yourself think that your marriage is going to be better than what it is. Baby, get sick and tired of trying to change your spouse, or get to the point where you're tired. And when you're tired, you're going to start praying, and you're going to start having faith, and you start believing in God, and that unrealistic expectation, it will go out of your head. You see what I'm saying? And you will find yourself encouraging your spouse, speaking words of positivity over your spouse, whether it be your husband or your wife. Stop trying to change them. They're not going to change until they're ready. But what could be a big bonus to individuals in marriage is when you set up and those unrealistic expectations, you learn how to maturely speak them to your spouse and say, you know what, baby, I remember, a couple of years ago, we said that we were going to pay off all the vehicles. I'm talking about numbers because I'm a numbers person. Or I remember a couple of years ago, you said, and we sat down and had this agreement, which I bet you didn't write it down because, baby, see, this is the thing. When you write stuff down on paper, let me tell you a trick, keep you from arguing. You write stuff down on paper, you can always go back to that piece of paper. Write the date on that joker, and when y'all agreed that y'all were going to do what y'all was going to do. It won't be no, that's what you wanted. No, that's what you said. It won't be your word against his word, because Habakkuk 2 and 2, you wrote that thing down. So when you write it down, then that's when you can work out the vision. So whatever it is that your expectation is for your marriage, learn how to communicate that with your spouse. You know what I'm saying? So I'll give a real good example. Hey, Lindy, before I get ready to go. Now, even when my husband was in the military, I never was that wife to tell him, you gonna pick, even when he had options. Well, baby, these are the duty stations they say we can move to next. I'm trying to make it plain for civilians that don't know the terminology. These are the places that the Army say we can move to next. What do you think? I'd always say, baby, whatever you feel, whatever you think will be best for your career. I'm following you in this. You see what I'm saying? And even when my husband retired from the military, I didn't tell him, because you got wives. Hey, I ain't trying to say, you need to work, you need to do this, Nope, I never told my husband that. I said, baby, the only thing I need you to do, only because I knew by example, being that I was prior military, is I need you to just take some time off to have your mind rest so you won't go from this high-strung non-commissioned officer, which is a leader, supervisor for civilians, a high-strung supervisor, to somebody that's working in a job, because that puts a lot of pressure on your body. That's why a lot of people die, heart attacks, strokes, and all this other kind of stuff. I just need you to relax your mind and regroup. You see what I'm saying? I never dictated to my husband what it is that he should do. That man work right now by choice. It's because he got to stay busy. He a king. And if you ever met any of the kings, baby, that's what they do. Them jokers be running 100 miles an hour all the way up and through the 80s. You hear me? And so some of us in our marriage as spouses, you having this unrealistic expectation of what it is, and you pushing your spouse to do, and your spouse is getting fed up. If you never had the conversation when you first got married about longevity and this is where I hope to see us in 10 years, baby, where you hope to see us? You know what I'm saying? My husband could have retired from the military and said, I don't want to do nothing else. And I would have been okay with that. Okay, baby, you served our country. You done went to wars. You done had multiple deployments. You done been away from your family or whatever. I never forced what I thought that I wanted on my husband. And that's where we mess up. Unrealistic expectations. Hey, Tasha, let me go to the church. Unrealistic expectations. There are plenty. When you go to the church, what you generally see at the church house is more women in the church than you see men. But you have, and I had a lady teaching me this a long time ago, when it came to her husband, because she always wanted, she would look around in the church and she would see other people's husbands present there with their wives in the church. You know what I'm saying? And so she wanted the same thing for her family to be whole in the church house. And what tends to happen, I'm going to speak from a woman's perspective, but it go both ways. You going off on your spouse at the home. You sorry. You ain't a man. A man is supposed to get up and make sure his family go to church. All you want to do is sit here when you going in on a boom, 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 boom. Baby, that ain't going to make them want to go. You see what I'm saying? Your unrealistic expectations you forcing on your spouse. So ask yourself, husbands and wives, what is it that you are doing to push your spouse in which they've been resisting all these years and it hasn't been working? You can eliminate a lot of unnecessary stress in your marriage when you learn how to maneuver in a Christian way, in a positive way with your spouse. So I don't know, like I say all the time, who I'm talking to on the day. But I just encourage you, stop pushing, stop shoving your spouse to do stuff that they don't want to do. Pray, okay? Get tired to the point, pray. And what tends to happen is because people have unrealistic expectations in their mind when it comes to their marriage, which cause unnecessary stress on the individual. What people tend to do is when their spouse don't line up with their unrealistic expectation, they want a divorce. That's what happened. This marriage ain't working. I'm out of here. No, baby, you never communicated maturely to your spouse. Those who are single, the engagement is broke off, or you've been in this long-term relationship, as we was talking about on last night's show, for 15, 20 years, because you never communicated your expectations, and the only time you did was out of anger. So learn how to be an adult. See, this is what we teach our kids. Where the parents at? When the kids start talking and they want something, what do we say to our kids? Use your words. Tell me what it is that you want. Be a big boy or a big girl and use your words. I encourage you, grown up, learn how to use your words. And I guarantee you will see a shift in your marriage for the better. So y'all have a blessed day. Share this because it's free. Don't let anybody steal your joy. Be a blessing to somebody today and not a curse. I hope this was a big pill for you to swallow. Pull up your big girl draws, your big boy draws, and make it do what it do for the sake of your marriage, okay? If you're guilty of having unrealistic expectations and arguing with your spouse and pushing them when you're not willing to help them carry no bricks and build, then guess what? Hey, Wendy, I'm going to need you to stop it. I'm going to say it just like that. So, your girl Shan will be back with you on tomorrow with whatever it is that God placed on my heart. So God bless you and blessings to you.